Hey guys, Jess from Knockout Print Shop, and today I have a video for you, an updated version, updated review, whatever, on Makse Life versus Inkwell Press. So it is September 20, no it's not, it's the end of August 2020. September 2020 is upon us, and that is when new planners for 2021, the next year, will start to come out. Inkwell has already started releasing their sneak peeks for her 2021 planner, and I'm pretty sure launch date is September 9th. Makse released a few sneak peeks a while back in her Facebook group. I don't know when her official sneak peeks start, and I think her launch is in October. So I was starting to have some conversations in our Facebook group about what people are going to do planner-wise for 2021, and I thought this would be a good time for me to compare the two planners that I have used over the past 5 years or so, now that I have used Makse for coming on 9 months, and I have not really been using my Inkwell, but I will say, spoiler alert, there are definitely some things I miss about my Inkwell, and I need to consider maybe playing around with it and using it here and there, because I definitely miss some features about the Inkwell, even though I do love my Makse Life. Okay, so let's get started. So I typically, in years past, was a vertical, or what they call an Inkwell Press, a classic style planner, so the vertical columns. This year I started off a few weeks in the Makse Life vertical, and I couldn't get in a groove, and I started using the horizontal, and that has been the route that I've gone, and I really enjoyed the horizontal, and I feel like I will most likely stick with that going forward, no matter which planner I'm using. So what are the things that I like about, well, let me just compare the two of them quickly. This is like a total, I'm winging this. I tried to prep it in my brain and kind of make some notes, but I'm like, I'm just going to talk and tell you guys what I think. I think these are both fantastic planners. They're both very high quality, and there's a lot of good features in both of these planners. They're both very functional. I think they both have a, I was going to say, like, home to work vibe. Like, I know this cover is kind of more decorative, but I think it's something that's not too whimsical, so it definitely has a little bit of a professional artsy vibe. Obviously a plain cover like in Inkwell, if you get one of these, it's definitely something you could use at work. So this Inkwell does have a little bit more of a professional vibe, I think, than having more of an artistic cover like you do on Makse. But either way, I think you could probably, depending on your career, use both of these at work, obviously both of these at home, all of that. So very high quality, very good customer service in my experience from both of these planners, and well thought out planners, and I think they have a nice aesthetic on the interior as well. So let's flip through and go over some of the things. So the Inkwell Press Weekly mostly focuses, or mostly serves as a weekly planner with a very little bit of some goal setting stuff. Whereas Makse Life is considered a dual purpose weekly planner and goal planner. So there is a much more substantial goal setting section in the beginning of this planner with instructions and an assessment. And then subsequently in the spreads, you get a lot more goal related things, like the monthly goals thing is 2 pages. You have a weekly action before every single week's spread, and then you have a quarterly assessment in here. With Inkwell Press, if you want a beefed up goal planner, you would probably want to buy her accompanying goal planner, because you're not going to get quite as much in the Inkwell. You'll get your annual goal sheet, your quarterly goal sheet, and then every month you will have your mission board. So that's kind of the base level Inkwell Press goal setting system, which I think can really work. If you've watched any of my old videos, you know that with some tweaks, I think this simple system can work really well. But if you want a little more beefed up, you're either gonna have to buy the Inkwell Press goal planner or go with the Makse Life that has kind of like a dual purpose planner. So as far as, let me flip to some blank pages here so you're not distracted by all my spreads. So as far as quality goes in the material used for the planner, both of these have excellent paper. Oh my gosh, let me get to some blank pages. That's not Inkwell paper. Let's go. Oh my gosh, you guys, I have stuff everywhere. So let's go. This is what happens when I don't plan. Oh my, we use this planner as like a sample planner to come up with ideas, and you can see I've just like gone crazy with it. Okay, Month view on both of these. Okay, so the paper is really good in both of these. I think this is like 130 GSM and this is like 120 Makse is. Inkwell is a little bit thicker than Makse Life. Both of these have thick paper. There's really no bleed through. Again, because Inkwell is a little thicker, it's a little less see-through than Makse, but really it's nominal, the difference. Inkwell Press's paper is a little more of a dulled white, where Makse's paper is a little more bright, vibrant white. So if you like a very bright, crisp white piece of paper to write on, you might like Makse better. If you don't mind a more, it's not off-white, but it's not as vibrant and bright of a white in her paper, then you might like Inkwell Press. So it's a little more subtle. It softens the pages where this has more vibrancy, if that makes sense. So the paper quality is excellent in both. I've not experienced any bleed through. I use an inkjet gel pen. I don't use Sharpies or anything in there, but from what I can see from others, both of these planners, most people can use any pen and not have any issues with bleed through or shadowing. So if you're a paper snob and you like good paper, either of these planners will work. Let's see, what else? The covers. So the Inkwell Press cover, the one particular I have right here is obviously the disc-bound vegan leather cover, so that's hard to compare to an actual like more cardboard, chipboard kind of vinyl covered one. But Inkwell does have interchangeable covers for the disc system that are the same quality as this. So I would say the covers, if you're not going with a vegan one, or a leather one I should say, for Inkwell, are going to be the same quality, the same style as far as like the wrapped vinyl chipboard with a page on the inside to, you know, cover it. I find these both, you know, all the Inkwell Press planners I've had that are this style, whether they're coil or disc bound, the covers have been fine. The Makse Life cover has held up. I don't bring my planner anywhere besides my desk, so I can't speak to the fact that if you're carting this thing around, if this is going to get beat up a lot or whatever. Again, not the vegan leather one, but the Inkwell ones that are like that. So the cover, you're going to have the same thing. With Inkwell, if you're doing the disc, you have many cover options. You have a couple different colors of the vegan. She's got some vinyl chipboard ones that have, I think, 1 or 2 different patterns or something like that. So if you like to have interchangeable covers, you may want to go with Inkwell Press. We'll get to the coil-bound Inkwell Press issue in a minute. So this video might be a little long, so I'm going to try to be as concise as possible. I guess I should have grabbed my coil-bound to compare, but I'll talk about that later. Let's just stay focused, Jess. Okay, so covers are very similar. If you're doing a Makse coil bound, which is the only thing they offer right now is coil bound, and that's all she'll be offering for 2021. I don't know if this feature will be the same, but it looks like there's a little pocket folder. I don't even use this. And there's a little folder back here, which was similar to what Inkwell Press always offered when they had their coil bound planner. So paper is good in both, covers are good in both. Okay, so now let's get to the binding. Obviously I'm comparing a disc here to a Makse Life coil. This coil is good quality, but the one thing that I personally do not like about the Makse Life is how massive this coil is. This coil is humongous. There unfortunately is nothing she can do about that because this is a beefy planner. It has a lot of additional pages that a traditional planner won't have. Like I said, there's a weekly action page before every week. You have the reflection page. There's a bunch of goal setting pages in the beginning. There's a quarterly assessment. So there's a lot more paper and pages in the Makse Life, so she has to have a bigger coil. But if you do not like big coils, you will probably have a hard time with this planner. It is very difficult with how big this coil is when you get to this edge to write down here and things like that. And because it's such a thick planner, if you're in the beginning of the year and you have a lot of pages that you're on, it's very high if you're down at the bottom. So just note that if you're somebody that is not into coils to begin with, this may or may not be a deal breaker for you. I know some people have uncoiled this planner and taken out the pages they don't want, punched it for discs and done that. So if you are into that whole thing and you want to Frankenstein your planner, buy this, uncoil it, and do what you want with the pages. But just know that this is a big coil and there is no changes to this for 2021 because unfortunately just the nature of her product, that's just not a reality. It can't be done. Maybe one day she'll offer discs and then you'll be able to put as many months in as you want, and that will streamline and slim out the planner. Okay. So those, I would say, are the major things as far as the quality. Printing and colors and stuff like that. I will say I think that Makse Life, the printing quality in certain areas is much more sharp than in some of the areas of Inkwell Press. I don't know if that's because Inkwell tends to use a more muted pastel color palette, which is a little bit harder to get sharpness than when you're doing a color palette like Makse does, which is a lot more vibrant and bright. So you may, if you're real into detail, you may find that Makse Life has sharper, crisper lines and things like that in some spots than Inkwell does. But some people just don't care about that. So that's just like, might not even be a non-issue to you. There are, in my opinion, as you've heard me say in previous Inkwell Press videos, a lot of color inconsistencies month over month. Like even if this is the pink color that will recycle 4 times in the year, you might find there's some variation in the what do you call it, the deepness of the color. So most people don't care about that. It's frustrating for us as sticker makers because we're trying to match the colors perfectly as we can, and sometimes there's a big color inconsistencies within the planner. So that can be an issue, but I think as a user of the planner, I don't necessarily know that'll matter to you. Okay, so I think as far as, again, the quality of the planners, that will be helpful. If you're doing a Makse, just so you know, it's the traditional. You have the laminated tabs for the month. These have held up really well for me. And there is no physical separate page that's a divider. The tab is on the month. And then depending on the month, you'll have, oh, you can't see that. Depending on the month, you'll have like, if it's the beginning of a quarter or the end of a quarter, you'll have a quarterly assessment. Otherwise, you'll have like a quote. So that's in the coil bound Makse. So there's that. In Inkwell, again, in the disc, you're going to go with, well, I have our version of the vinyl dividers. Inkwell, I believe, sells these now and will probably continue to sell them into 2021. But these obviously hold up really well. You know, we do make the covers, the month covers for them. These are not permanent. They're semi-permanent so the covers, after a while, the labels, depending on how much you use them and pull at them, you may find these separate a little bit. But again, just like we note online, these are not permanent solutions. This is a semi-permanent solution. So depending on what you like divider-wise, that's another thing. Okay, let's get into layouts just to give you a sense of what the difference is on a monthly and weekly basis. And then we'll talk about the coil versus the disc thing. So both of these are your traditional 2-page month layout. I would say Inkwell has a little softer, more colorful, yet subtle, because the palette's muted, design to it. This has a more traditional straight lines, you know, non-script text feel to it. This is a little more, for lack of a better word, feminine, softer. It's got that cursive or kind of semi-cursive script font, things like that. Okay. So when you look at the month view, and many people, and this will be changing for 2021 in Makse, people did not like how small the date was on the month and that it was centered. So coming for 2021, this will be right justified. I cannot remember if it has going to have a circle around it or not. If you go into her Facebook group and you join the Makse Life community, she's got sneak peeks of that. I agree with everybody's point on that. I would prefer to have the date here like it is in a traditional calendar in Inkwell Press. I think Erin Condren's like that. This just makes more sense. I think she was trying to change things up a little bit and play around with layout, which I think aesthetically with the colors looks good, but I think from again, just using the month space, the day space for each month, I think makes more sense here on the right. So that I think will be a good change. I believe these boxes in the Inkwell are a little bigger. I'm almost 100% than the boxes in the Makse. So if you are someone that really uses your month view, here I can actually test this. You may prefer to have more space in each month. Here, let's see, I can use a Makse sticker. So yeah, you could see, if you could see that on camera, I don't know, that's not very much, but the Inkwell month days are a little bit wider. And that won't change for 2021 here because that's just the layout of her calendar. So it just depends. If you like a more traditional closed squares type of month view that doesn't have a lot of color on it, things like that, I think you'd like Makse. If you want something that's a little more designed with like some script font and this pattern up here, and you like that it's not just this closed in box, if you like the aesthetic of this, you might like Inkwell Press better. Obviously, both of these month views function like any other month calendar would. And you can see their right-hand column is similar. They both have the next month here at the bottom. Makse just has notes. Inkwell still has this top 5 and this notes thing here. I think this is irrelevant. I would like to see this go away and just be a whole notes section, but who knows? I think that's a non-thing if you don't use your month view very much. So that's how the month views compare. This is going to be a bit weird because I'm comparing a horizontal to a vertical, which is pretty stupid for this video, but you get the point. Maybe, okay, we'll just do this, and if I find this is stupid, I'll go run and get my vertical. But we're just kind of talking about, I'm going to have to go get my vertical. Okay, let's just keep going. Okay, so from a layout standpoint, and the page, obviously this is your horizontal and this is your vertical, but you can see the aesthetic differences. So this is a more, again, sans serif, traditional typed font, very subtle color, barely any color on this page. With Inkwell, she tends to use a little bigger fonts, changes up the font. She's got a serif font here. And then of course you have the daily boxes at the bottom that have color in them. In the Inkwell Press horizontal, you know the daily boxes here on the right are the color. So if you add like a splash of color to your page, you may like Inkwell. If you don't like as much color, you may like Makse, because the only thing really colored on here is the month and the date. There is this little heart here, which I'm not really a fan of. I don't know if this is staying for the next year. It was meant to be like a gratitude, like a kind of a little reminder to write a gratitude. For me, I tend to cover this up. I don't know if that's coming in the next year. I can't remember. That's also on her vertical. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. And then you have the right side page here in Makse. She does have the habit tracker, which I appreciate. I do like that on here. She has a note section, and that's how that works. Let me go get my classic, because this is not going to make sense otherwise. Now I have all the planners. This is a much more comparable thing now that we're into the week view. Okay, so we can see the difference here. So the Inkwell bottom has a weekly focus and a notes. I think if I was using my Inkwell, I'd prefer to see just a notes section here. I like that Makse has the built-in habit tracker. The only thing I've struggled with all year in my Makse is that I have this space right here to do habits, and I actually am not a huge fan of tracking habits weekly. I like to see my habits over a full month. So you can see that feature here in Inkwell. And last year in 2019, when I was using my disc and we had made the insert of this so I could transfer my daily habit tracker every day and see my progress over 30 days. I much preferred that, to see the bigger picture than just to see the week. At the end of the month when I'm reflecting, it really is harder for me to go back and look at each week and see my consistency. So I'm fine with this being here or not. I mean, it's nice for me for like just my daily tasks that I check off. But if I'm trying to build a habit, I would much prefer to have a 30-day habit tracker that I can move with me each week of my planner. So that's just a personal preference when it comes to like building habits that I prefer. So that's the comparison between the two planners. You can see here on this side. So if you want more color, obviously Inkwell has that. I know Makse Life is amping up the color a tiny bit for 2021, and I can't remember exactly what it's going to look like. I think I don't remember. I think it's a redesign of the date that's going to make it a little bit more vibrant. And I think she's getting rid of the lines, the striped alternating lines in each day. So there's going to be a few aesthetic changes to it. But if you want more of a blank slate, Makse's your planner. And then if you want a little more color inspiration, you got Inkwell Press. I know people did not love the 2020 colors for Inkwell Press, and I was one of them. There were some palettes that were okay, and some I just was not a big fan of. So I'm really hoping the 2021 color palettes are better. While I have definitely adjusted to having a blank slate every month with Makse Life and just being able to use those 8 colors in her palette at will, there are times I do miss the kind of diversity of the color palettes in Inkwell Press and the inspiration each month to base my colors off of something and play around with different combinations of colors and have that softer, more pastel color. So there's definitely things I miss about using my Inkwell that I don't get in Makse. I can use Makse stickers very easily Inkwell Press stickers very easily in Makse Life because it is pretty neutral. Like this is not Makse Life colors that I used that week. I know another week, I'm never gonna find this without making this video an hour long. It still may be an hour long anyways. I've used this is old Caribbean colors from years back of a Caribbean palette of Inkwell Press. So because Makse is a blank slate, obviously you can use any dang colors you want. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be the thing going forward into 2021. I don't think the color enhancement she's making is going to limit you, where obviously in Inkwell you're contending with these daily boxes, so your color, unless you cover these up, may look off when you're throwing stickers down if they don't complement the color on the page. Okay, does that make sense? I think so. So those are the differences between the two horizontal layouts. Now, to make more sense, let me compare, oh my God, I'm running out of space, the vertical layout. So you got the classic, which it's called here in Inkwell, and then oh my gosh, so many sample spreads. Okay, so you got these two. So if we go here, you can see. One thing that I know I didn't like and made a lot of Inkwell Press fans frustrated this past year of 2020 was the addition of this Escalate, Cultivate, Accommodate in the Inkwell Press Vertical / Classic. This is based on her Inkwell method and her book and her podcast. And if you're somebody like me that just likes the planner and doesn't care for the other pieces, this is a bit distracting. Now, I know a lot of people just ignored them and it didn't bother them at all, and they were just use the planner as is. I know there was a lot of us that were like, okay, I can't stand those things. I was one of those people that couldn't stand it. So we actually made stickers that cover it, that solve that, and different variations where you could kind of semi-customize these things to get rid of that. So I don't know. I'm kind of hoping she doesn't do this year. And I also did not like the addition of this heavier line to break this into 3 sections. I do miss just the straight vertical columns that Makse went with. So those are a few things I think that pushed people away from Inkwell Press in 2020. Maybe we'll see those things change back to how they were in 21. But you can see, essentially, it's a vertical planner. They're both vertical planners. Again, you have the added color bit here at the bottom with the daily boxes that you don't see in Makse. Makse does have this striped section. So here's 2 things design-wise I wasn't a fan of in Makse. These were not deal breakers to me. It's just how my brain works and the aesthetics that I like and don't. I did not like this striped closed in kind of header and then it being down here as well. I would have rather liked to see maybe this be open, not striped, or the same light color here and just have the heavy at the bottom. I don't know. I don't really like when there's heavy color, light color, heavy color. It just aesthetically looks unbalanced to me, but that's just, again, my style. And I found it very weird to use this space. So when I was using this planner, I would always try to cover that up because I just did not, it was awkward to me. I don't know if that's changing. I feel like it might be, but I'm trying to find an example. See, I would always cover up this whenever I was using this planner. And though I didn't use it a lot, I just did not like that aesthetically. The function of the planner's fine. I can't even find another example. Anyways, so I would like to see that change. Who knows if it will, but again, it's not a deal breaker. You can just cover it up with a header sticker. I do like, these are like weird little subtle things. So Inkwell Press, the line length is 1.5, which 1.5 is the same width as like Erin Condren and most vertical planners. The actual width of a column is like 1.6 here because you see there's white space on either side. Makse went with like each column touching with less space in between. So her line space is like 1.4 something. The full width is 1.5. I personally like to have a little bit of space in between when I'm laying a sticker down. That's the full, so we make all our stickers 1.5 so they don't go flush to this line. So you have a little bit more white space. That's my style. That's what I like. That's why we make those. And then 1.5 width works with everything. So if you don't mind things going flush and laying another sticker here flush, then 1.5 will work. But just know that because this line is not 1.5, these columns are narrower than the columns in Inkwell Press. So if you have big handwriting or prefer more space, this is a tiny bit more. The column's still 1.5, but the line space is not. Okay, just so you know that. These are, again, little tiny things. So I like the open feel up here, and I can throw a header. Again, I don't like this closed-in box, and I don't like this closed-in down here. I would have much preferred just kind of like a full-on open lined column. Okay, let's see. On the right-hand side, ta-da, you have this. So again, you have this built-in habit tracker. I think for some people this is great. I've again been using it more for daily task checkoffs, like automated tasks versus like habits I'm building, because I already explained why in that. I do like that this is just a note section versus this weekly focus thing. We make stickers to cover this up because I just have never gotten into this, and I know a lot of people haven't either. So there's that. What else do I need to tell you about? Okay, so as most of you know, Inkwell Press has stopped producing their coil bound planner. So this planner, the coil bound, is only sold on Amazon, like Staples and Office Depot. It was for 2020 anyways. And they no longer sell this planner as a company, Inkwell Press themselves on their website, and they don't really promote the coil. So if you were a coil planner person, you have to go outside of inkwellpress.com to purchase the planner. And in 2020, they only offered online the coil in the flex, the flex, which is the horizontal. So if you were a coil bound vertical planner, you did not have an option if you wanted Inkwell. I have no idea what to expect for 2021. From what I've heard through the grapevine is the people, I think it was At a Glance company that produced this planner. I know that Blue Sky is now producing their thin, cheaper version, like that plastic covered version that's the lower price point. I don't know if At a Glance is the one that's going to be now selling this version, the coil more comparable to the disc version. But if Blue Sky is the one that produces this, it's not going to be the same quality. I can almost guarantee it. So, and from what I've heard through the grapevine, who knows if this is true, that they looked up that At a Glance doesn't even have Inkwell on their list of companies or what they're producing anymore. So who knows? I have no idea. I don't know if you'll be able to find out from Inkwell Press. I don't know how transparent they will be about that. But I think the one downfall of Inkwell has been that they have had a lot of great products that they have discontinued that have frustrated customers. I totally understand slimming down your product line and focusing on what you really want, which is the disc for her. But I know many people have been frustrated with the lack of them selling, promoting, and offering the coil. Okay, so if you were a coil bound planner and you like Inkwell Press, you may or may not have any options in 2021. That remains to be seen. And last year, your only option was horizontal. So we'll see what happens for 2021. But all of that said, I wish that they still kept the coil because I think this is a fantastic planner, especially for people that like the coil. They like the Inkwell Press system. They like the layout, the design, all of that. If you're a coil planner and you're thinking about moving to Makse, you need to remember how big this coil is and how thick this planner is. This planner is much thicker than Inkwell Press. Let's see if you can tell on camera. I mean, this is a substantial difference. So just so you know what to expect there. We do make decals. I personally miss the disc system. This planner, even though I don't carry it around, is bulky. All the points I said before, I do miss this kind of nice, my vegan leather cover, the professional look. I like the discs. I like to be able to take pages in and out, add in note pages. When we were producing inserts, which we're no longer doing, I liked to be able to move my habit trackers around and just customize this planner. So that is something I miss, and I hope one day Makse will offer. I know there's many of you that have, again, dissected this planner and put it into discs. I don't think I could deal with having square punches and the disc punches in the same planner. It would probably aesthetically drive me nuts, although some of you have told me it doesn't drive you nuts and you thought it would. So I don't know. I definitely, like I've said before, sometimes miss the kind of soft pastel design, just the design and the layout of Inkwell Press, even though these layouts are damn near the same. Just aesthetically, the font choices, the colors, the vibe is a little different. So sometimes I do miss the softer look versus the more vibrant look of Makse. I do like the bright white paper. I like the paper quality of both. There's great things about both of these planners. Sometimes the Makse Life goal system, even though I've been doing really well with it over the past 8, almost 9 months, can seem a bit overwhelming to me focusing on so many different areas and things like that. I have made the system work for me, and I'm going to do another video on that. But there are times I definitely miss the simplicity of the mission board. I mean, the grass is always greener, right? And no one's ever happy, because I used to feel like, well, this is silly. This is not enough areas, or these areas don't make sense. But having gone to a planner that has 8 areas or categories for goals, there is some part of me that likes the consolidated version of Inkwell Press. Literally, the point of this video, guys, is to say that there's everybody's different. Everyone's looking for different things. No planner is going to be perfect. There is no planner, unless you had someone sit down and design every page of your planner for you that fits your lifestyle, your needs. You're never going to find whatever this elusive planner piece is, right? Everybody is different. You could buy a planner you think is going to be like the bee's knees, the perfect thing, and be like, oh, now I don't like this feature. I can't make this work for me, or whatever. So I think as you go into 2021 and you're trying to figure out what planner to use, obviously I'm only comparing Inkwell Press and Makse Life, but there is, I don't even know, thousands, hundreds of planner options out there, a ton. So you have so many options based on what you're looking for. If you need a time-based planner, maybe you're a passion planner person, or you're an Erin Condren hourly, or if you just like to bullet journal, there's all kinds of bullet journals and traveler's note. I mean, there's everything. It can be super, super overwhelming with what to pick. My thing would be like narrowed. I need to do another video on how figuring out how to pick a planner, but I would say the one tip is, without going and making this video literally an hour, is remember, no planner is going to be perfect. You're going to have to make it work for you and give it a good old college try, a month, a couple months, and see if you can make it work for you. Planners are not magic. They're, at the end of the day, paper. They're a tool, and for many people they're a necessity. For some people they're a hobby. Just remember that there is no perfect planner. And whatever you pick, you can make work. If it doesn't work, maybe try to sell it and move on. But every planner company is coming up to that time where they're going to try to sell you on their system. And every system is great, but you have to remember that the system needs to be implemented to make it work. And try not to get sucked into the idea that this planner is going to fix everything. Does that make sense? I could ramble for hours on this. I'll do another video on that. Okay, so at the end of the day, I've been using this planner, the Makse Life, for 9 months. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great planner. In a dream world, it would come as a disc, and I could have all the things that I wanted, but you know what? That's not where we're at with Makse, and that's totally okay. Oh my God, I just like totally jumped up and hit the camera. I think after doing this video, I do want to play around again in my Inkwell Press. I did not buy the horizontal inserts this year, so I only bought the vertical. So I need to remember for 2021, I need to buy both, because what I did for the horizontal this year, because I never used a horizontal, I didn't think I was a horizontal planner, is that we bought the Coil. So, oh, and if you do buy, if this is available, the Coil's available on Amazon, Staples, whatever, remember, there are some subtle color differences between the non-inkwellpress.com planner, which is the Coils, and the disc. The color schemes are the same, but the printing is not. So there is a little bit of difference there. My old video at the beginning of 2020 talks about that. Okay, I think this is good. I hope this is helpful. I just wanted to kind of update you guys on where I was at with planners, my thoughts on these 2 very comparable, awesome quality planners to maybe help you like figure out, as the launches are coming down the pipeline, which route you should go. Hopefully that was helpful. Let me know. If you have questions, post them in the comment box. I will see you guys in the next one.